Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ingraham Angle. Last night we showed you how sexual and gender activists are swarming our schools. Desperate parents have begun to fight back by showing how their young school-aged children are being targeted and even groomed by radical extremists hired by equally radical school boards. Well, and if you think, oh, come on, you're exaggerating? Well, last night we played parts of a February workshop put on by teachers and administrators at a Burlington, Vermont middle school. Many of you were shocked by what you saw. Well, since then, the YouTube video of that event has been made private by the school. This next clip is one we didn't air last night. And for some reason, now it's part of what they're hiding.
I personally identify both as gender nonconforming and gender non-binary, in that I do not feel just female or male, but I feel a mix of that within myself. As an assistant principal who identifies this way, students come talk to me about being transgender all the time. And I didn't realize that it would be an entry point to relationships with so many different students.
An entry point to relationships with students? And this person, who I do not wish to misgender, by the way, claims to be valuable for the visibility provided to students. Well, those presumably, I guess, with the same sexual experiences or questions. Why is this the role of an assistant principal? And do the students, the parents of these students, know this is actually happening? And if they don't approve, well, they have every right to speak out and demand changes. Now, on another front involving children, millions of Americans cheered when Elon Musk announced that he bought a significant stake in Twitter. That's a company which is known for suppressing conservative users like President Trump, while letting horrific regimes like the CCP and Iran post lies and propaganda. Now, getting Trump back on Twitter is obviously the right thing for Elon Musk to do if he can force the board of directors to do this. But naturally, unbridled political expression, especially by someone who's effective and has a large following, has certain liberal elites just a little bit nervous.
So if he doesn't like how a corporation operates, he just buys it? How much more evidence do we need that he's turning into a supervillain?
How typically lame of the Trump-obsessed Boebert. Well, but the truth is, there's a lot more that Musk can do with his role at Twitter, and it involves our kids. And the perverted freaks, by the way, who want to exploit them. Now, right at this moment, Twitter is helping them advertise their fetishes and solicit children into sexual degeneracy. They've been rebranded as something called minor attracted persons, #MAP. It sounds much more harmless than pedophile, as this former college professor and MAP advocate admitted.
I use the term minor attracted person, or MAP, in the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. It's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. Using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction.
Well, that's the whole point. They have their own acronyms, and they often use coded language to advertise their desires. These images and requests are too sickening and too graphic to recount and even show here. I don't want to give them any promotion. But I will say this: kids get drawn in. Some get exploited by the men and women who call themselves MAPs on Twitter. And others are drawn into the sex trade as young as 11 and 12. So why is Twitter allowing this? They suspended users who tweeted about Hunter Biden or early COVID therapies, but somehow they let these freaks slip through to destroy lives and innocence? Perhaps they fall back on the laughable defenses of the adults who feel the need to publicly tout their sexual attraction to children. Because the MAPs say these feelings are just feelings, they're not criminal. They say they were born this way, feeling this way, meaning sexually attracted to children. Well, this is absurd on its face. Twitter is the initial meetup place for many of them. It's also a platform used to normalize this. It's no more weird, they argue, than guys having a thing for, I don't know, ladies' feet. Elon, do the right thing. Because as Congresswoman Boebert revealed at a hearing yesterday, the Biden administration will not.
For the record, you favor HHS's funding being able for sex reassignment, for surgeries on minors.
I will do everything I can to defend any American, including children, whether or not they fit the categories you have mentioned or not. And if they talk about gender-affirming care, I am there to protect the rights of any American.
Joining us now is the aforementioned Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Congresswoman, I want to get to your views on this map, these map freaks on Twitter. But I first want to ask about that exchange with Secretary Becerra. He believes that this type of surgery for non-adults is protecting children? Really?
Laura, this is absolutely disgusting. And as you've stated on your show, this is not only repulsive, but it's child abuse. Secretary Becerra, he is a lawyer, he's a politician, he's a bureaucrat, and he is making these professions look bad. It is a sad day in America when the Secretary of Health and Human Services is using his position of influence to promote gruesome gender reassignment surgeries on children. Now, we know that his record is not very good. It's actually pretty pathetic on protecting children and parental rights. So when he came into our committee, I asked him about those things. I asked him if our tax dollars were going to these surgical gender reassignments on children, these gruesome gender reassignments. He had no answer. I asked him if parents who don't agree with this gender-affirming care and don't want to mutilate their children, if they are at risk, if they are in danger of having their children removed from their home. He didn't have an answer for that either. I even asked him if men can get pregnant. Simple as that. And he danced around that question, Laura. So I had many questions for him that I asked him on that day, and we're seeing that they are doing anything in their power to protect these people who want to sexualize and groom our children. And now to hear on your show tonight that we have these minor attracted persons, what is this world coming to? You know, 5 years ago, if you would have said that this is where all of this is leading, we would have been called crazy. And here we are. You have somebody saying that pedophilia, that's too degrading to call it, so we're going to call it MAPS. What in the world is happening in America? We have
makes it sound
to
better.
start talking about this and get it right. You know, and really, it's not something comfortable to talk about. It's not comfortable conversations to have because we shouldn't be talking about these things. Laura, you know, this isn't pleasant, but we need to know if our tax dollars are going to remove the breasts of young girls, if our tax dollars are going to remove the genitalia of young boys. These are children. And my message to the Biden regime is get out of our lives, get out of our homes. These are our children.
Well, they call
not
this
yours.
conspiracy.
Back the hell up.
You know what they're saying in response, Congresswoman? They're saying, you and others, probably myself, that we're spouting conspiracy theories because we're actually quoting these people, whether it's on Twitter or whether we're talking about the inability to define a mother, and they're called birthing persons now so as not to offend a radical fringe. Those are facts. They don't want to actually speak in terms of facts. They want to just throw out pejoratives like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, like the Hunter Biden laptop was a conspiracy theory. I'm going to get to that next segment.
That's exactly right, Laura. Anytime they don't like the facts that are coming out, they call it a conspiracy. We have been putting out information all along. We're called names. We're called conspiracy theorists. We're called racists. We're called bigots just for not going along with their agenda. They even turn on their own whenever they aren't falling in line with their agenda. And, you know, I totally believe that Secretary Becerra needs to be removed from his position. I am willing to call on him to be removed for what he is doing to promote this mutilation of children in America. This is absolutely disgusting what's coming out of his department. And not only that, but look at what's going on at our southern border and removing Title 42 right before these summer months when they know that there's going to be a surge. We're expecting 7 million
part
people
of the plan.
Just by November. It truly is to completely
we got to go, Congresswoman. But
our country.
Everything is being turned upside down. People don't understand. This isn't some kind of weird like coincidence. This is all happening for a reason. Okay, this is their policy. Okay, Congresswoman, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you.